Doom.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
We're losing our democracy!
More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
Wake up!
Before we get into that, let's get into this.
All right, man. We should be live. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Liberty Bowl. How's it going there, man?
It's going damn well, man. Like I said, holiday weekend, bro. You can't ask for better. Been pretty cool, obviously. That was nice.
Yeah.
So, how you doing, bro?
Chilling, man. Fucking holiday. Yep. Fucking, so as you guys are well aware, Labor Day's weekend. Monday fucking no works for a lot of us that work the Mondays through Fridays 9 to 5 type bullshit, So that's a pretty cool thing. But today we're gonna be discussing some topics. The first one, of course, some people that aren't going to be necessarily celebrating the holiday weekend so much. The Proud Boys getting sentenced to some some doozies of some fucking sentences here. We're going to be talking about some of those outlandish political persecutions that going on. We're also going to be talking about the possibility of impeaching Joe Biden. It's still either or whether or not the fucking Republicans are just going to continue to fucking slow walk and talking about shit or not. But we're going to be reading this left-wing fucking rag of an article and basically dismantle their entire argument against impeaching Joe Biden. We're also going to be talking about the Biden administration's ATF's major new infringement rule on the Second Amendment and background checks, as basically making it so they're trying to close the gun show loophole, the supposed gun show loophole, even though if you go to a gun show, you still need to file a 4473. But we'll get into that later, right? And we're also going to be talking about marijuanas. Right? Who would have thought, man? A show is called the Liberty Bowl where we smoke weed and talk about news. We're actually going to be talking about marijuanas today. So apparently the Department of Health and Human Services has suggested to the the DEA, fucking the Drug Enforcement Agency, has recommended that they reschedule marijuana from a class 1 to a class 3. Basically, open up the door for a whole lot of medical uses, and basically it's taken it from being scheduled as something like meth and heroin, even though they do have legal meth and legal heroin, but ones that are classified as no medical use and basically just high potential for abuse. All right. And then lastly, we're going to be getting into a philosophical talk about, are we living in the biblical end times? Right? Is this it? Is this the end of days? And if so, what does the end of days mean? What does that necessarily mean? Are we on the verge of a new schism? Is fire and brimstone actually going to rain down from the sky, and fissures in the earth going to open up, and swarms of locusts come out? But we're going to be discussing all of this shit today on the Liberty Bowl. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. If anybody is watching just yet, yeah. So you guys want to go ahead and hit up a bowl real quick? Get this show started off right?
Sound damn good.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Alrighty. Let's get pulled up to this whole first article here. I didn't put anything in the description because I didn't have time to do it, but I'll probably be doing it later on. I'll put the links to the articles that we're reading in the description. Either way, I doubt you guys are following along with us other than just watching this anyway, which is the way that you're supposed to listen to a podcast. But anyway, ex-Proud Boys head Joseph Biggs got 17 years in prison, the second longest sentence in January 6th Capitol riot case. right? So we have some major political persecutions here. Basically a lot of the people that were a bit more rowdy at the whole January 6th protest, they're starting to get their sentences handed down. There's been over the last couple days, quite a number of years that have been handed down over this whole January 6th thing. I think I read in the article that they've arrested like upward of like 600 people connected to the January 6th riots, and so far of those 600 people, about 400 of them or somewhere. I'll be reading the article, but I could be having my numbers wrong, but the majority of them are still awaiting trial of some sort, or a lot of them are even awaiting charges. Period. Just locked up in a fucking in a Washington D.C. fucking gulag somewhere.
Absolutely ridiculous, right? I mean, especially they're saying it's the second longest. Obviously, the first, I think, being 18, one more year.
Yep.
And dude, we're basically talking for no crimes here, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the rough part, dude. And like talk about whataboutism. I mean, you think about what was it, May 2017, where they burning down fucking Washington, protesting Trump, and
I've actually been kind of good.
I mean, and these guys have already been in prison for years as it is. I mean, it's going on 3 years. You got the talking heads like Joy Reid. I think they went too soft on him. I mean,
Right.
Are you shitting? You know what I'm saying? And then you have the opposite, where not only you had congresswomen or what have you like cheering on violence, but I mean they were literally burning down federal buildings and shit. And that's okay though. Don't stress it, Bobby.
Right. I think the whole thing is it's because fucking we don't wear masks. It's because fucking we're
Right.
proud of who we are and what we stand for and shit. Fucking the whole thing, the reason that Antifa never gets fucking prosecuted for anything, well, for one, fucking the fucking government's on their side and shit. The fucking deep state is on their side, so of course they're not gonna get fucking prosecuted for shit. And even if they do, it's gonna be a slap on the wrist. And for two, because they're always fucking fully masked up, fucking baklavas, all that fucking bullshit. They're you can never actually tell who they are until you actually tackle one down, and then you find out that it looks like fucking Fogel from fucking Superbad.
Right.
Right, but yeah, so they don't ever get fucking sentenced. But as we're about to see here, the political persecution when it comes to protesters on the right, which is obviously a reason why you rarely see protests on the right, is it's not only January 6th protesters, it's also anti-abortion protesters. They're being fucking arrested and locked up and all that shit. Fucking basically religious fucking people, people that are out there literally just directly fucking reading from the fucking Bible on the streets, getting fucking arrested. It's all people on the right that are getting arrested for protesting, and they're basically trying to make a statement to where if you're conservative, you're not allowed to protest. That's a fucking a tool of the left or some shit. That's the way that they're making it seem. Here in America with all these, as I mentioned, political persecutions. Right. We're gonna go ahead and read this article, and it talks about some of the recommended sentences, like you were saying, the Joy Reids and all those fucking MSNBC talking heads and shit were just always I think they should have got more. Most of them were recommended quite a bit more time than they actually got. So, a former organizer of the far-right Proud Boys extremist group was sentenced on Thursday to 17 years in prison for spearheading an attack on the U.S. Capitol to prevent the peaceful transfer of power from Donald Trump to Joseph R. Bidens after the 2020 presidential election. It's kind of funny. This is a New York Post article, and you could really tell that they're on Team DeSantis here, as they're dropping the hot buzzwords, the far right and the fucking the peaceful transfer of power and shit. That's their whole fucking left wing argument. That it's how you could tell you're reading a left wing article, which is kind of makes it funny, seeing as, like I said, this is the New York Post. So the sentence for Joseph Biggs is the second longest among hundreds of Capitol riot cases so far, after the 18-year prison sentence for Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes. federal prosecutors had recommended a 33-year sentence for Biggs, who helped lead dozens of Proud Boys members and associates into marching to the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Biggs and other Proud Boys joined the mob that broke through the police lines and forced lawmakers to flee, disrupting joint sessions of Congress from certifying the electoral vote victory by Biden, a Democrat. Right, fucking forced them to flee. Fucking they're over there begging on the door. Where is she? Again, dude, like I say, it's a New York Post, so it's they're just over here repeating all the left wing talking fucking points, which, again, fucking the New York Post. I mean, they're the New York Post. They have some conservative views, but they're, as their name implies, based out of fucking New York. So they're still fucking old guard Republican. You know what I mean? Let's see. So he says, quote, "I know that I messed up that day," Biggs told the judge just before sentencing, "but I'm not a terrorist." The judge who sentenced Biggs also will separately sentence 4 other Proud Boys members who were convicted by a jury in May after a 4-month trial in Washington, D.C. that laid bare far-right extremist embrace of lies by Donald Trump, a Republican, that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Right? Again, this is the New York Post fucking writing this type of rhetoric. Right. Enrique Torino, a Miami resident who was the Proud Boys national chairman and top leader, is scheduled to be sentenced on Tuesday. His sentencing was moved from Wednesday to next week because U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly was sick. Torino wasn't in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. He had been arrested 2 days before the Capitol riots on charges that he defaced a Black Lives Matter banner during an earlier rally at the nation's capital, and he complied with the judge's order to leave the city after his arrest. He picked Biggs and Proud Boys chapter president Ethan Nordine to be the group's leaders on the ground in his absence, prosecutors said. Biggs of Ormond Beach, Florida, was a self-described Proud Boys organizer. He served in the U.S. Army for 8 years before getting medically discharged in 2013. Biggs later worked as a correspondent for InfoWars, the website operated by conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. See, Biggs, Torino, Nordine, and Proud Boys chapter leader Zachary Rule were convicted of charges including seditious conspiracy, a rarely brought Civil War era offense. A 5th Proud Boys member, Dominic Pizzola, was acquitted of seditious conspiracy but was convicted of other serious charges. Prosecutors also recommended prison sentences of 33-year-old Torino, of 33 years for Torino, 30 years for Rule, and 27 years for Nordine, 20 years for Pizzola. The judge is scheduled to sentence Rule later on Thursday. Pizzola and Nordine are scheduled to be sentenced on Friday. Defense attorneys argued that the Justice Department was unfairly holding their clients responsible for the violent actions of others in the crowd of Trump supporters at the Capitol. So more than 1,100 people, damn, I was way off on my numbers. More than 1,100 people have been charged with Capitol riot-related federal crimes. Over 600 of them have been convicted and sentenced, right? So that's still 500 people that are fucking awaiting trial or just awaiting fucking charges or just waiting in a political fucking dungeon somewhere. Besides Rhodes, 6 members of the anti-government Oath Keepers were also convicted of seditious conspiracy after a separate trial last year. That's it. All they wrote on this one.
Man, imagine the mental gymnastics you have to use within yourself to see or be a part of, these instances where they're like, it's mostly peaceful and the city's fucking burning behind them and people have been murdered and all this kind of shit, police officers beat, stabbed, what have you. And then this right here, they're like, it's the end of the world, man.
Right.
They're trying to kill democracies, right? And, and solely, I think it's a lot, like you just said, as far as like, you can't protest if you're, right of Stalin or whatever. But, Proud Boys obviously target because up and coming group where people actually knew their name and anything that's organized with the right, they try to associate with fucking Supremesies, dude. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because the leader's actually an Afro-Rican, right? Like a black Puerto Rican, man. But first comment says, Dogface, do you think Trump will pardon these cats if he gets back in?
I don't know. I mean, now that he's able to, I'm sure it's a possibility, probability. I'd even give it. The whole argument before, the one that Anomaly likes to make is like, oh, Trump had time to pardon these people and all this and that shit, But as Tim Pool has pointed out on multiple occasions, that's not actually possible because for one, fucking he was in the middle of impeachment during that fucking time. So he didn't really have much fucking that he could do. For two, it's not like he could specifically pinpoint each individual person. It's not like he could throw blanket fucking immunity on anybody that was near the Capitol, on January 6th, just days after. So I mean, there's the whole the whole thing that he couldn't have pardoned them before, but there's a good chance that he could pardon them now. If he were to get back in.
Another reason he couldn't do anything originally also is because they held most of these people. They either hadn't arrested him yet, right, or they were held. The ones they did, they were like held without charges. Like basically, it was like the held without charge fucking NDAA bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And so they just recently actually charged him after keeping him in solitary confinement for 2 years or whatever.
Yeah, like, and I was actually reading in the constitutions earlier today, fucking there's a part in there that says they could actually fucking suspend habeas corpus in moments of sedition or invasion, actually. So I think that might be something that they're trying to do too.
Right, and this is all like Civil War written shit. Well,
Right.
the vast majority, as far as the sedition shit goes and whatnot. And so, I mean, they're using stuff that hasn't been used in its almost 200 years of fucking existence. And and it's obvious why. I mean, they absolutely fear Trumpsicles and dying grass, bro.
Yep. Yep. Shit. Fucking yeah, dude. Fucking so the people that are actually like reporting on this stuff, the fucking MSNBCers, all those, the fucking the late night fucking talk show hosts and all their fucking writers and all that shit, they're either one getting fucking paid a ridiculous amount that's so much that they're willing to fucking completely sacrifice their morals on. But then again, now that I say it, they've been willing to do that for a couple dollars since fucking day one anyway, because they're fucking actors and fucking celebrities and shit. So that's really not saying much. But for one, like Tim likes to say, those people that are actually spreading the propaganda, the known propaganda, the obvious propaganda, because it's not like these people are just, fucking completely oblivious to, what's going on in politics around them, and they're just getting fed, they're just reading a script, Yes, they are just reading a script, but they are also aware of what the fuck they're saying, They're not fucking completely clueless. So therefore, these people are actually fucking just genuinely evil fucking people, And then as for the people on the left, I think I mean there's a good majority of the base, the extreme lefties and shit, the Antifas and all that shit, that I believe are just actually evil, and in the same way that the fucking propagandists are. And I think a lot of fucking people on the left are still just oblivious, a lot of the Democrat voters in general.
Yeah, they listen to CNN and MSNBC or what have you, and they're like, the news said it. It's true.
Right.
If the news reported it, and then the whole like you were saying the other day with the Fox situation, where they're like, well, you don't think out of all these charges, one of them is real? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's and that's one of the reasons. That's part of the show. That's why they overwhelm the charging. Hundreds of charges off the same shit over and over again. So people would be like that, like with that many charges, he had to have done something,
right? It's the age-old fucking prosecution fucking rule. Just fucking throw shit at a wall and whatever sticks. Yeah, that's what I was aiming for. Like,
guilty,
right? We got him, guys. Yeah,
yeah. And then another point to make is like with the Jack Smith shit, bro. It's dude, it's the feds rarely take a case unless they're positive they can sink that bitch. They have like a 98% freaking conviction rate or something. Yep. Fed level courts. Yep. So I mean,
wasn't that the whole thing with the Hillary fucking shit? It's like, oh, we just don't think we'd be able to get a conviction. We're not even going to pursue it. Isn't that pretty much what they did with that?
Yeah, it was Comey said basically no prosecutor, almost verbatim, no prosecutor in their right mind would bring charges.
Right.
But that's not even saying we can't win. That's saying nobody wants to get Arkansas-ed. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I think what he means by nobody in their right mind is, for one, people on the far left are not in their right mind. They're fucking insane commies. So technically, they're not in their right mind. That's why they'd be willing to do this exact fucking same fucking thing and prosecute fucking Donald Trump, even with no fucking case. It's clearly a fucking political witch hunt just in times for election season, right? If he was a true fucking seditious fucking conspiracy theorist, if January 6th was planned by Donald Trump and fucking orchestrated with fucking all the people that were there to overthrow the government by fucking peacefully marching between the fucking velvet roped lines and shit, if that was true, then fucking they would have fucking thrown the book at him years ago.
Right. I love the way you put it, though. You know what I'm saying? That's funny, but it's also like the way they think. Like he's the criminal masterminds that pulled off almost overthrowing the most powerful government in the world with
Right.
a bunch of unarmed goons taking selfies. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's stupid. He's incompetent. He's a fat Big Mac eating losers and fuck. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like. Yeah, they contradict themselves in their own minds, bro.
Fucking major IQs over there, man. Fucking big old think tanks. Oh man, fucking I don't know. Just the complete lack of self awareness is, I don't know. I don't really think that the majority of people, like, faced with this much evidence, could really just be this oblivious. That's why I say a lot of the people on the normie left, I think, are just completely oblivious, because all they like you said, all they do is they watch their news, and fucking the news said it, and of course, as we've come to discover, the news omits about 90% of the fucking story most of the time. They basically just tell you the headline.
It's The View with asinine zingers.
Right. Yep. Oh man, fucking so you want to get into fucking the old Joe's impeachments?
Of course, dude. I mean, you've seen McCarthy just come out and said, if we move forward with this, it's going to be a process. We're not just going to bring up articles. It's going to be a vote on the floor. You know what I mean? In other words, we're not going to do a damn thing. I'm going to put a show in because we know that the fucking Freedom Caucus is farly fucking outweighed. You know what I mean? As far as voting total, because you're going to have all the Democrats vote against it and all the never Trumpers and all the rhinos, dude. And Kevin McCarthy will he might actually vote with the Freedom Caucus just to keep the show going, man. You know what I mean? But ultimately, he knows that they're going to be outweighed vote-wise and they're going to lose. I mean, so it's just a fucking sham. Dude is soft as pudding. Every time he speaks, I just expect his face to start quibbling. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you think some of the more old school, fucking old school Republicans are starting to warm up to the idea of the fucking, like, the whole Freedom Caucus and the whole fucking MAGA movement, or do you think they're still just pure fucking nopes? We just need more foreign wars.
I think they're no. Yeah, I think they're no. I mean, because the end of the Uniparty obviously encompasses them too, man.
Right.
And I think that Trump at this point, even though at first he was kind of spilling some policy and some plans for Liberty cities and all that jazz, right? At the same, dude, at this point now, he's raging. I mean, the mugshot says it all, bro.
Yeah.
And how he just came out and said, they pushed me too far. Like, people are going to have to get locked up this time. They're going to have to.
All right.
And it's,
like we say constantly, fucking all that the left is doing with all this shit is, for one, making themselves look fucking, tyrannical and fucking stupid, and I forgot what the other one.
Hit that bull again, man.
Right. But the other thing was fucking they're setting legal fucking precedent. They're setting legal fucking precedent that's going to be used against them, whenever they're not in power, which, unless they continue to fucking fortify elections, then they're not going to be in power very much longer, because the American people are fucking fed up with the Democrat fucking the Joe Biden establishment. I think the problem a lot of them they're able to use Joe Biden as a scapegoat or a sacrificial lamb. You know what I mean? To not
Yeah.
fucking turn their entire voter base away from the idea of the Democrat Party and shit, and just solely focus it on Joe Biden's a piece of shit. You know? I think that's what they're really trying to do. They're trying, yeah, that's why fucking a lot of people would still be willing to vote for, you know, a fucking old Dracula fucking um Gavin Newsom's, or fucking a lot of people would still be willing
Right.
to vote for, you know, really a lot of the fucking old Democrats and shit, you know. It's because they're not turned off to the party because of the fact that they're just basically like I said, just letting fucking everything just fall on Joe Biden, so that way they could just, it was just Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden was a bad president, but he did get Donald Trump out of there. So technically he was good, you know, because that's really the entire reason that Joe Biden got elected, period. You know, fucking Joe Biden's been a fucking piece of fucking human shit his entire political career. You know, it's because the fucking the deep state wanted Donald Trump out. You know, that's why they fucking ran interference for Joe Biden. That's why they fucking made sure that any fucking you know, that's why they made sure that they actually contacted a social media to block the New York Times article about the Hunter Biden laptop. That's why they fucking, you know, contacted social media fucking people to block conservatives that, you know, were speaking up against them and shit like that. It's basically the whole reason was to get Donald Trump out of there. And then now that fucking Joe Biden's in there and fucking everything up, they're just gonna, okay, well, we got Donald Trump out. Now let's just fucking put all of our bullshit into fucking Joe Biden and let him take the fall for everything.
Yeah, I mean, it could go that route. I mean, maybe that was Obama's plan too, dude, when he brought in the Riri. I mean, because you know the quote. I actually,
Right.
you know, they try to fact check it, but I mean, you know, don't underestimate Joe's ability to fuck everything up, dude. You know, and obviously that's not verbatim, but it's damn close. And you know, I mean, that could have been, you know, the fall guy, man. It
Right.
will pay you well while it's happening, but you know, at some point you're going to go down. Luckily he made it till, you know, he was a century.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, I mean, you know, you see the new
We'll
polls.
protect Hunter. Don't worry. You know.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, you know, you've seen the new polls, man. Charlie Kirk just dropped a few new polls for the first time ever in national polls. They're putting the old Trump schools ahead of Biden. From, you know, one was like one percentage point, and then the final one was all the way up to like 3.5.
Fuck
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And you know he's never been ahead in national polling with Biden, like ever. Not the previous election, and not, you know, up until now this one.
Right.
And dude, so you know, so they're trying hard, man. You know what I'm saying? They're definitely trying hard. You see them rolling out, you know, the C-1984 fucking, you know, precautionary measures already, even in DeSantis's Florida, right? It come out here, Arizona. Luckily, apparently, we've banned mask mandates in schools, but in Florida now they're already starting to roll them out, and that's supposed to be, you know, the anti C-1984 state, bro.
Dude, speaking of here in Arizona, man, it's one thing that I feel is being overlooked by the majority of fucking conservative, podcasters. Let's be clear, fucking news is dead. Fucking Fox News, fucking MSNBC, fucking left wing, right wing, it doesn't fucking matter. Mainstream news is dead. It's all fucking, podcasts and fucking opinions nowadays. It's all just fucking, the news is there, and then what people actually pay attention to is people's opinions on that news, you know. But yeah, fucking uh, shit, I forgot what were we talking about.
We're talking about the possible never going to happen impeachment of Joe Biden's, dude.
Right, fucking. But I mean, just a second ago. Yeah, never mind. It's gone. I'll just smoke another one. Marijuana does affect the memory, which is something we'll also be getting into a little bit later when we get into the marijuana reclassification. Right.
Marijuana does affect memory.
It does. You want to go ahead and get into the fucking left wing shit rag of a fucking article here, and break down all of their bullshit on the why fucking Joe Biden impeachment is a bad idea.
Go ahead, rock it out, man. I know for sure we got a couple guys hanging out in the comments right now that are pretty pro 2A. So,
Oh yeah.
and I just got another comment here from Heather saying, "Right on, my dudes. We share the same views. Glad to catch a live."
Yeah, glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. All right, let's go ahead and get into this one. So, from the Sacramento Bee, fucking left-wing shit rag of a news outlet. Kevin McCarthy is playing a risky game threatening Joe Biden with impeachment. An opinion piece. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says Republicans in his chamber should launch an impeachment inquiry into President Biden once representatives return in mid-September. But some GOP members of McCarthy's caucus say they have seen no evidence to justify impeachment proceedings against a Democratic president. And that doesn't mean McCarthy, the Bakersfield Republican who now represents Clovis in Congress, will pump the brakes. He may be leveraging the idea of impeachment against the looming government shutdown at the end of September if Congress does not pass spending bills or at least a stopgap measure for the federal government's new fiscal year. It's a strategy that carries risk. If there is little to no sufficient evidence of Biden's wrongdoing, McCarthy's gamble will be rightfully seen as foolish and will put the nation through a needless political firestorm. So you're saying that if you go after your political opponent with no evidence or little to non-sufficient evidence, that it would be foolish and will put the nation through a needless political firestorm. I wonder who might be doing something like that right about meow.
Or the one that's been going on for the last fucking 8 years.
Right. So it would work like this. Far-right House members whose support was critical to McCarthy winning the speakership by a razor's edge of votes also fervently want to bring impeachment proceedings, but they don't like the spending bills put forth and have threatened to stymie attempts to get a budget for the new fiscal year. McCarthy can tell those members that if the government shuts down, there can be no start to an impeachment inquiry into Biden. So what do you think? What do you think of that part? Like, and they're basically saying that. So since the Freedom Caucus is basically being holdouts against a new spending bill right now, that it's going to result in a government shutdown, and that they're not going to be able to impeach Joe Biden because of this. So basically, they're trying to say that the Freedom Caucus right now, because as we know during the Speaker of the House vote, the Freedom Caucus knows how to wield their small fucking group's power. They know that they have just the right amount of people that they could fucking hold up anything until they get, some fucking concessions, included. Right. So basically what they're saying right now is that it's either the Freedom Caucus can have they could, vote down this fucking spending bill and fucking get that shit rearranged or whatever, or they could go with fucking impeachment. If they're basically trying to say that you can't have both. What do you think of that one?
I think Matt Gaetz' reply to it, takes care of that. It says basically we could shut down and still impeach Joe Biden, dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But I don't think, like I said, I don't think it'll go that far because I think they're going to be outnumbered, man. So and like you said, it's just a leftist talking point to try to pit Republicans against Republicans. You know what I mean? And they're saying it's because of them they're going to shut everything's going to be fucked up and it's going to be your fault. That's all it is, man.
Yeah, I think fucking even with pitting Republican against Republican, like we mentioned all the time, the old fucking Republican Party is dead. They're dying. They're still there, but they're a fucking dying breed. They're very seldom going to be reelected back into office unless, of course, the whole fucking establishment gets involved and fortifies elections like they do, and make sure that the unipartyists get either reelected or fucking elected. But the Freedom Caucus is able to wield some powers right now, and I think a lot of the people on the conservative side are realizing that unless they kind of get on board, their fucking side of the aisle, or their side of the Republican Party, is spineless. They're not going to fucking stand up against the Freedom Caucus. They're not going to fucking stand up against the Democrats. They're not going to fucking stand up for anything. They're literally just fucking placeholders, just trying to get a fucking a government fucking lifetime fucking pension and shit. You know what I mean? And so fucking basically, if we continue down this route, they're not going to have a fucking choice but to eventually become fucking, on board with whatever the fucking Freedom Caucus says, And that's why I say the old fucking Republican Party is dying because of the fact that they let themselves fucking just lay down until they're now fucking just rotting away, Yeah,
and I agree they are dying, but they still outnumber. So until they die, man, they still kind of control shit. And while I agree, I always say spineless fucking jellyfish. They'll definitely stand up and vote with Democrats or Lindsey Graham's, Mitt Romney's. You know what I mean? Fuck, even the McCain. You know, McCain before he died. I mean, that was his dying vote was to give the thumbs down on getting rid of Obamacare.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, so these fools have principle as far as they'll vote against their own party, but yeah, if they either go with the Democrats or stand neutral.
Yep. They can. I don't know. It'd be nice to see things. Like I say, I think it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a slow process, like everything with fucking culture and government. It's gonna be a slow march to get there. But I think fucking kicking and screaming that the Freedom Caucus and basically this new fucking MAGA movement that's going on here in America will drag the fucking Republican Party into where they need to be. Where they should have been all along.
Right. But we talk about AOC, for instance, like how she comes out and says stupid shit. But you got to tone down some certain rhetoric from members, certain members, bro. I mean, like old Marjorie Taylor, bro. Like, I mean, some of the shit that she's running around spouting and stuff, that's cool if you think that or whatever. Dude, just shut it down publicly. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not only, like a self-respect thing or whatever, but dude, we need everyone to take you seriously. Right. And if you're saying, hey, these crimes are going on in the Biden family, we got to impeach. And then on the other end, you're talking about fucking space lasers and you know what I mean, crazy shit, aliens and whatnot. Like, dude, shut it down, man. It's like an Alex Jones type of situation. Everything the dude's saying is true, but the delivery fucks it up, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think the thing is she's just trying to fucking stay in the spotlight. She's trying to get those clips. She's trying to get those fucking those little fucking couple second fucking clips and shit that's gonna go viral or whatever. She's trying to fucking aim for that support, which I totally agree with you. It's not necessarily I think the best look. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, especially like that's kind of they're considered like the newer congressman. You know what I mean? And mention Alex Jones, of course, Dogface in the comments. We're getting fucking turning the frogs gay.
God damn it! All right. So let's continue on. So if we shut down all the government, it shuts it down. Investigation and everything else. He told Fox News it hurts the American public. Some members of the hard right group, the so-called Freedom Caucus, balk at this scenario. They contend an impeachment inquiry can happen even with a shuttered federal government. So McCarthy could be entering a game of chicken with members of his own party. All right, so we already did kind of discuss that whole part, right? All right, so impeachment evidence against Biden. The Republican-led House Oversight Committee has for months been making a case that the president's son, Hunter Biden, made money in foreign deals by trading on his name and proximity to the president. The committee has also accused Biden of profiting off his family's overseas business dealings with American adversaries while he was vice president. All right, so let's go ahead and pick that one apart a little bit. So for one, it's very clear that he fucking did profit off of fucking his son's overseas business dealings. That could not be more apparent, down to the fact that it's now come out that he's now got the whole Robert L. fucking Peters. Like, why do you need to fucking have a fake alias to communicate with your son if you're not up to some fucking nefarious goddamn dealings, dude? Like that. I don't know how you fucking try to talk that one away,
Yeah. And then not to mention, dude, how now the newest one is like, well, you can't pinpoint money going directly to Joe Biden's, but as if like foreign nationals sending his granddaughters and kids and stuff millions of dollars, and all these shell companies don't show that he benefited directly, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, do you really think a young child is just working millions of dollars? I'm like, she needs that, bro. That's serious productions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it's laughable, and it's like I said, earlier, like people are kind of lost, with the CNN, MSNBC crowd and whatnot. Like, you show them fucking facts, dude. The ideological subversion, and their mind won't let them accept it, dude. Immediate cognitive dissonance. No, it's Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fucking whatever happened to the whole fucking the lead with Hunter Biden paying fucking $50,000 a month to Joe Biden for the fucking his second house or whatever, the one where the fucking the documents were
Corvette.
right, the
Yeah.
fucking Corvette house. Whatever happened to that? Like for one, fucking $50,000 a month. I think I forget who it was, but they actually like Zillowed the nearby rent in that area. That's like fucking like 10 fucking times, like fucking 20 times the average out there. That's beyond fucking reasonable, prices for rent. How come they're not like pointing out that fucking whole scenario basically, and then the whole the text messages between Hunter Biden and his daddy basically saying, fucking, oh, I have to pay all the bill. It wasn't between him and his dad, it was him and a family member basically, like I have to pay all the bills for the family and all that shit, basically. Again, it just proves that the whole thing that he wasn't necessarily paying the big guy directly, but he was paying for everything that the big guy, had. He's paying all the big guy's bills and all that shit,
Or one of the Bongino receipts where it's supposedly, public access tax form where I think it was either 2017 or 18. Joe Biden just claimed a random $7 million on his taxes, man. Just, you know what I mean? Like, no, this is where it came from. No, you know what I mean? Just a random 7 million. Like,
found it.
And yeah. And he's like, I'm doing the good leftist thing. I'm paying taxes. So that makes everything cool, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
In the eyes of the government, it does though. That's the bad thing about it, man. Fucking, if you were to try and bring him up on that shit, well, you paid taxes on it. What do you guys want?
Hell no, dude. You sell some crack for a year, dude. Save it up, and then claim it on your taxes. See what happens.
Depends. Depends what levels you reach, man. No, I'm just kidding. Aren't they actually trying to fucking include that on your taxes? Fucking profits from fucking stolen goods and shit like that.
Yeah, I did see that shit where they're like, just go ahead and report it. Just claim it.
Right. You'll get a refund, so don't worry.
Right.
All right, so let's continue on. But some GOP members don't see any evidence to warrant impeachment. One of those reps is Don Bacon of Nebraska. Again, somebody that we'd never even heard of, but now that we know the name, we know that that's a fucking straight up rhino,
Right.
Some fucking no-name fucking Republican from goddamn Nebraska, right? He told The Hill that there should be a direct link to the president in some evidence. We should have some clear evidence of a high crime or misdemeanor, not just assuming there may be one. I think we need to have more concrete evidence to go down that path.
So there it is again. That's exactly what I was touching on right now, bro. Like we got to have concrete evidence.
Right.
Like his granddaughter received fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars, man. It's from Chinese nationals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And at the same time, I mean, fucking, there's just the whole fucking Victor Shokin thing, the fucking the prosecutor from fucking Ukraine, there's the fucking transactions from that where it was basically saying that what was it, that you had to pay fucking $5 million to Hunter and then $5 million for fucking his dad and shit like that. Yeah.
Right.
Again, that's not a smoking gun. That's essentially hearsay that was in a fucking a message or some shit like that. I don't remember exactly where it came from, but fucking yeah, there's tons of fucking evidence against Joe Biden, and this the whole hilarious part about it is fucking I think we need more fucking concrete evidence before we go down that path. Fucking all of the fucking times that the Democrats have gone down that path with fucking Trump. It's fucking came back fucking, with Trump, fucking coming out victorious, fucking,
Yeah.
so it's, it's like I say, fucking, well, like I was saying earlier, with the whole fucking, no prosecutor in their right fucking mind. And that's because fucking the problem is that any prosecutor that's a Democrat that would actually prosecute a fucking, that would, be tasked with prosecuting the Republican fucking front runner, they're not in their right mind. So they're going to, anything for the cause, those type fucking people and shit. Again, on the fucking judges on the right side, though, those type of people are the people with fucking sense that actually, are, bound to uphold the Constitution. And so therefore they're not going to actually, do those types of fucking, political witch hunts and shit like that. They're not going to actually take the risk of possibly, weaponizing fucking the power of the government against their political opponents and shit, because obviously, as we're seeing now, it's really bad optics, for whoever's actually doing the fucking political persecuting, you know?
Yeah, we started talking about the optics. We got a comment saying Outlaw 520 says if a cop pulls me over my friend's car and I have cocaine, I get arrested, right? Why didn't we find out where the cocaine come from in the White House?
Right. It's because they're well aware of it. They stopped fucking looking as soon as they found it. As soon as they found it, they pretty much, you know, like it's the fucking White House, dude. It's not only that, it's the fucking Biden regime fucking White House. They probably found a bag of cocaine and probably fucking returned it to the rightful owner. You know, that's just not in a fucking evidence locker anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, they know damn
Like
well whose
the-
fucking cocaine that was.
that cat, I always forget his name, but he was the real life Wolf of Wall Street, man. I don't know if you've seen that interview, and he was talking about that shit. And he was like saying, you know, as an addict that functioned in the corporate world, I can tell you that that's the exact setup of an addict. Like you find little stash spots
Right.
where you can get away with just sneaking off and doing a blast and, you know, leaving it there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, again, like you just said, it's obvious. You know what I mean? And again, comments, Heather said, we know it was Hunter's.
Right. Yeah. Like, and I like that one with the fucking video of Hunter Biden on the balcony. All,
Right. But behind old Dr. fucking Alice Cooper Biden then.
right. All right, so assuming House Republicans muster the votes to start impeachment proceedings, the risk for McCarthy is indeed in the evidence itself. What if it is not? What if it is not compelling? What if it is seen as manufactured, mere politics? All right, so now they get into the whole whataboutism. So what about Trump? McCarthy played whataboutism when former President Trump was indicted. McCarthy played whataboutism when former President Trump was indicted. He turned the tables and says, what about the supposed bad behavior of Democrats and Biden? So here's a what about for McCarthy. Trump, unlike the practice of presidents before him, did not divest from his business interests while in office. One of those interests was the Trump International Hotel, located less than 1 mile from the White House. USA Today reported that for just 1 year in 2017, Trump earned $40.4 million from the hotel. The hotel's customers in 2017 also included officials or lobbyists for the governments of Malaysia, Kuwait, or Saudi Arabia, according to public disclosure and event announcements, USA Today said. All right, so the one thing I want to fucking point out in here is, according to public disclosures, right? So the fucking business dealings between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were not publicly disclosed. So, I mean, you know, again, fucking, you know, if Trump's fucking using, you know, his time in office to fucking, you know, seat foreign diplomats in his fucking hotels and shit like that. And I'm not saying that he did, you know, fucking, they could have just fucking chosen there because it's a nice fucking place, you know. But either way, like they said, it's fucking disclosed. You know, it's publicly disclosed information. You know, it's publicly disclosed events and announcements and shit. You know, it's not fucking something that they were trying to sweep under the rug and fucking hide. You know, it's not something that they were using fake fucking aliases and fucking alternate email accounts and all this and that type bullshit for. You know, there's
Yeah.
night and day difference.
Yeah, I mean, and plus, I mean, divest as in what? I mean, he let fucking Don Jr. take the business over. You know what I mean? He like made him like basically like interim CEO while he was president. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was he supposed to like sell off his businesses, bro?
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And then they're like, you know, important people stayed at his hotels. I mean, bro, rappers were, you know, going out about his hotels, you know, over the decades. And I mean, they're in prime real estate areas where people of importance come to deal with business and, you know what I mean, government issues and whatnot. You know what I mean, diplomatic issues. And so yeah, I mean, he made this cash. The company Trump Inc. did or whatever. You know what I mean? But you know, it's not like, you know, with any business, you know, it's not like he's just got a room full of cash, liquid, like he's swimming around in it or some shit. You
Right.
know? So, and as far as Kushner goes, I mean, Kushner's already wrapped up in business, like, you know, long before he was ever around Trump, dude.
Yeah, it gets into Kushner down a little bit farther. All right, so Peter Baker of the New York Times noted in a recent story how foreign officials were good customers for Mr. Trump while in office. 145 foreign officials from 75 governments visited Trump properties, and foreign governments or affiliated groups hosted 13 events at his hotels and resorts. All right, so again, you know, fucking, it's not like fucking these people were were not staying at Trump fucking hotels and shit before, he was in office. It's just the fact that it continued while he was in office. That's the whole issue with it. And again, not like he was fucking trying to hide it. It's not like he was trying to fucking, like it's not like these were backdoor fucking deals. It's not like he was fucking sneaking foreign diplomats into his fucking hotels so he could fucking profit off of it, in the middle of the night and shit,
Yeah. Yeah. In the comments again, Heather says it's a good point and says it's clear that Hunter provides nothing except access to his damn daddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, it's laughable. Like I said, dude, that like you just pointed out, people have been staying at Trump Towers and whatnot for decades, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Look, it's different now. It's supposed to be different because he's president.
Right. All right, so now it gets into the Kushner part, right? So Trump is also notable for how he had family members in his government, allowing them to make connections that would later prove valuable. After leaving White House service, Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, started a private equity firm with $2 billion in funds from Saudi Arabia and hundreds of millions more from other Arab countries that stood to benefit from U.S. policies and have an interest in a possible second Trump administration, Baker reported. What's your thoughts on that one?
I think just about any country that's not at odds with us would probably benefit from a second Trump fucking presidency. Right. You know what I mean? If we benefit economically and they're part of our trade sphere, yeah, they're going to benefit, man. You know what I mean? They're trading with a dollar that's going to gain value.
Yeah.
I'd
say even fucking some countries that are at odds with us, like fucking Russia and shit, I'm sure they would fucking benefit from somebody like Trump coming in and trying to fucking, negotiate peace, rather than someone like fucking, the old school establishment or the fucking Uniparty or the Democrats or fucking Joe Biden, getting a second term and just continuing to fucking escalate and fucking, have more people fucking just tossed into the meat grinder, I mean, there's benefits for literally the entire fucking world if Trump gets a goddamn second term,
Yeah, and that's again comment outlaw 520 says everybody wants Trump back.
All right. Yeah. That's why they're gonna assassinate the motherfucker.
Right. Even a lot of people that hate him want him back because it brought up their ratings and got them more clicks, views, and likes, man.
Even if anything, a lot of people just want him back because they, their fucking refrigerators weren't goddamn empty when Trump was in office. The fucking cupboards weren't bare. The fucking shelves at the grocery store weren't fucking empty when Trump was in office. I think a lot of people are just remembering that, their paychecks didn't fucking suck as much when Trump was in office.
She's dog face in the comments, dude, to replying to everyone wants Trump back. You said, not my mom.
Right. Right. Oh man. Oh shit. All right, so trading on the presidency for personal gain violates Ethics 101, yet Trump did it in spades. Did McCarthy and GOP colleagues sound the alarm over Trump's dealings? Did they even call them corrupt as they have with Biden? Not even a peep. McCarthy has said he believes Americans don't like impeachment proceedings for strictly political purposes. So if he brings the impeachment inquiry, Americans will judge that for themselves, and McCarthy and the GOP could be the potential losers. Highly doubtful. Highly fucking doubtful on that one, man. But
see the comment right now, he rolls with an army and an ambulance.
Right? All right. You ready to get into some motherfucking Second Amendment infringements?
Yeah, roll with it, bro.
All right, man. I'm just gonna do this short one. It's basically, as you guys are well aware, the fucking the Biden administration has been trying to impose on the Second Amendment for the entire time they've been in office. Really just the government, left and right. It doesn't really matter. They've all been trying to fucking get rid of that damn pesky fucking Second Amendment because, as we know, once you get rid of fucking the citizens' guns, you're free to do whatever the fuck you want. And fucking that's taken place time and time again throughout history. And it always starts with the same fucking thing every single time. A gun registry. That's why fucking gun registries here in the United States are strictly forbidden. Absolutely not. The government is not under any fucking circumstance allowed to have a federal fucking gun registry. But they can do every single thing otherwise, such as, well, you have to fucking file a 4473 if you want to buy a gun, and we'll be able to just keep that on file. So we know who bought which guns and shit like that. Of course, the only way that they're not able to control them is when it comes to individual transfers, fucking person to person transfers, a fucking father handing down his pistol to his son or something like that, or fucking, a coworker selling a fucking, a gun that they're not using anymore to another fucking coworker. People on places like arms list, private sales basically is what they cannot regulate. Basically, once you buy that gun, you fill out your 4473, you get approved and all that shit. Okay, well, they know that you bought that gun, but they don't know what happened afterward. Afterward, if they were to ever come knocking and say, hey, remember, a couple fucking years ago or whatever, you bought this gun, here's the 4473 that you filled out, you still have that? You could just say, nope, got rid of it years ago. And that's what they're trying to get rid of. What they're trying to get rid of is that fucking that. They're not trying to get rid of no fucking gun show loophole, because as everybody fucking knows, if you go to a gun show, you still have to fill out a 4473 if you're going to be leaving there with any actual, firearms, So the gun show loophole is a fucking myth. All right. I'll just put that flat out. The gun show loophole is a myth, period. All right. So again, what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop, fucking individual, private transfers. And they want to make you basically have to register as an FFL in order to fucking give, in order to sell. They're trying to fucking make it to say that, it's just for selling. But of course, as we know, with the whole fucking slippery slope fallacy that is the government, it's not going to stop there. It's going to end up to fucking, if you just gave it to somebody, if you gave it to somebody as a gift, fucking, well, you're going to fucking prison, And again, the whole reason is because they would like to have a national fucking gun registry, so they know where every single gun in America is. So that way, whenever they want to, whenever they fucking issue the whole Trudeau fucking, from henceforth, gun sales will no longer be legal here in Canada, or here in America. Once they do that, and they come to fucking to your door, to knock on your door, and fucking after they've made the gun registry, and they come and knock on the fucking doors of registered gun owners, then that's when they're going to be able to say, oh, well, you got rid of it? Well, did you do a fucking federal firearms transfer? Or did you do a background check on the person you got rid of it to? Oh, no? Well, you're going to prison. That's what they're trying to do, right? So let's just be very, very clear about that. But let's go ahead and read this short little just a little newsletter from Gun Owners of America. If you guys are not already, make sure you guys join Gun Owners of America. They're a very great alternative to basically fucking establishment uniparty fucking gun clubs such as the NRA, right?
Mm-hmm. Selling your rights out since the 1800s.
Right. So, Washington, D.C. Today, the Biden ATF formally rolled out their plans to implement backdoor universal background checks, which was made possible by Senator John Cornyn's comprehensive compromise legislation passed last summer. That, of course, is the Safer Communities Act, right? That was passed in the summer, actually about a year ago today, right? So, under this new proposed rule, any individual who sells even a single firearm for any profit to any person, including family, could be classified as engaged in the business of selling firearms, and in turn, they would be forced to get a federal license, conduct a background check.
That's ridiculous, man.
Right.
I'm just listening to you. Absolutely ridiculous.
I thought there was a comment, man, but yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
There is a comment. Heather says she bought her first gun at a gun show. She can assure you they do background checks.
Right.
Her boyfriend had to wait days to get his AR, and he bought it at a gun show too.
Yep. And then oftentimes if you buy it at a gun show and fucking the gun show is over beforehand, and say if it was like an out of state dealer or something like that, then they have to fucking ship it to you, and then you have to pay a FFL transfer fees and all that type shit, right? So the gun show loophole is a complete fucking myth. Like unless you have like a completely clean record, you don't get any delays, or you have your concealed carry license, there's not much of a point to go into a gun show. Like unless you could purchase a gun and walk away with it that day, there's not much of a point to go into a gun show. You're not going to be saving much, you know?
The part that you just read though that had me that just I couldn't hold back was basically if you're making a profit off your gun, you're technically a fucking gun dealer. How
Right.
fucking ridiculous, bro. You know what I mean?
Yep. If you sell it for one fucking penny above fucking I guess fucking retail, I guess, or what you paid for it, right? You're a
Oh,
gun dealer now.
In the comments, Dogface says you can go to gun shows and buy guns just with an ID private sale in AZ. Stop playing.
Right. That's what they're trying to stop. I mean, fucking, I don't know. I guess fucking if you go hang out at the parking lot at a gun show, you could do that. Man, but fucking so conduct a background check and complete gun registration paperwork under federal law. All right. So again, that gun registration paperwork, fucking that's a bad thing. Anytime fucking I always kind of chuckle inside anytime someone's like, oh, you know, like I got this gun, but it's not registered. Like, no guns are registered, dude. Don't worry about it. Right, but
It's a secret we're gonna use later.
right. This will further enhance the ATF's illegal gun registry and will make it much harder for private individuals to sell guns, effectively forcing them to either become a gun dealer or take time off work to coordinate trips with potential gun buyers to find a gun store. And further complicating matters is the fact that the ATF has currently adopted a zero tolerance policy that is driving numerous gun dealers out of business for mere clerical errors. All right, so they're trying to fucking shut down gun shops all over the damn country too. Did you see that video where was it the fucking new armed IRS fucking agents and shit came into a gun shop and they didn't seize anything related to taxes. They came in and took the 4473s. Like why the fuck does the IRS need background check information for people buying guns? Like why would the IRS need that ever? Like in even a fucking hypothetical situation, I cannot think of one, you know, unless it's some tyrannical fucking shit, you know.
Yeah, I can think of one.
Right. Right. So Eric Pratt, GOA's senior vice president, issued the following statement. First, they said 5 guns, but now anyone who sells a single firearm in a given year and makes even a penny of profit will be subject to dealer requirements, including a background check. People need to realize this is just the next step in the anti-gunners' long-form playbook to enact backdoor universal registration of firearms and eventually to confiscate all firearms. They will not stop until that day. Adrian Johnson, the GOA's director of federal affairs, added, "This is just the latest consequence of compromise Corin's gun control law." Yeah, fucking the whole compromise. That's becoming a bad word on the right. Do not fucking compromise with these fucking commies. Like, you do not compromise with communists. Period. All right.
Never apologize either.
All right. So this is just the latest consequence of compromise Corin's gun control law, and sadly, Lord knows more is still on the horizon. We urge all lawmakers to defund this rule, the upcoming appropriations bill, and join us in the fight to repeal this dangerous and unconstitutional legislation with the Congressional Renew Act. GOA spokesmen are available. Blah blah blah. All right, but yeah, so you know, I broke it down pretty damn good. You know, their whole fucking plan with this shit. But what's your thoughts on this whole ATF overreach?
I think that there's got to be some kind of doling of punishment for congressmen, like the act that was mentioned that they're trying to use this to, you know, excuse their actions right now. Anyone that votes for some unconstitutional shit like that should face some type of retribution, man. And but you know, as far as the overreach, dude, it shows the danger of unelected bureaucrats, man, that are allowed to run roughshod and really face, again, no repercussions. The worst thing that's going to happen to these fools is another president will come in and possibly fire them. But rarely does the government give freedoms back that they've already taken. So even if it gets fired, it doesn't mean that it's going to be rescinded at all, right? And you know, as far as the purchasing, how, you know, it's tracking and making a list. The comment, you know, here Heather says, I haven't heard anyone talk about those credit card codes in a while, but that was the other way that they wanted to track and even block gun sales. She said those 3-digit merchant codes. And you know, obviously, pretty obvious what she's saying, and that would be a good way to make up lists or to deny sales or what have you. But you know, they're already trying to move past that. We've touched on before. It's, you know, part of a larger picture, right? The Great Reset, dude, and that's one of the major things is to disarm, man.
Yep.
And you know, and the way that they're going to control that sale is, you know, it's all going to be digital. There's not going to be fucking cash. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it just like they said distinctly, we want to control undesirable purchases, and they didn't directly say firearms, but they said ammo.
Yep. Fucking yeah, wasn't a MasterCard fucking they were directly fucking reporting ammo sales to fucking to the government and shit.
Yeah, and debanking,
Yeah.
and debanking gun and ammo manufacturers and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah, dude, fucking absolutely horrible shit. The fucking same people that would fucking bank the cartel, that would fucking bank money for the cartel, they won't fucking bank money for fucking gun and ammo fucking producers, right? Fucking
Yeah,
the same people that would fucking bank for Jeffrey Epstein, but not for fucking gun manufacturers, right?
yeah. The same that, you know, has laundered and kept money in offshore accounts for the Hitler's peace Putin's, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The current Satan, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's laughable shit, man. I mean, complete tyrants, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, fucking. I don't know. The one thing fucking I do kind of think about is when it comes to gun control in foreign countries and shit like that, because that's the one thing that a lot of people like to point to when it comes to, you know, because of course our arguments against gun control is, you know, the obvious. It's to fucking, you know, the founding fathers put that there so that way we could fucking keep the government in check, right? So that way we could fucking fight fucking tyranny, fucking both foreign and domestic, right? So that way the fucking, you know, a well-regulated militia, that's me and you, fucking can fight off foreign invaders, you know, to being necessary to the fucking free state, right? And so fucking, and then of course the obvious, you know, fucking for self-defense, you know, in case somebody tries to break in, you know, so you could protect your family, so you could protect your life, your property, you know, whatever, you know, so you could protect yourself basically, because the government has no obligation to protect you, and they're not very good at it anyway, right? So when it comes to foreign nations and shit, the whole reason that argument doesn't necessarily hold too much weight is because who the fuck's going to invade them? Who the fuck's going to invade them, right? With the United States fucking right there, obviously any fucking sort of a you know, military fucking political action across the fucking world, we have to have our nose in, right? It's not like fucking we're just gonna watch fucking, you know, Germany get invaded and shit because they fucking disarmed. We're not gonna just fucking watch, you know, Australia get fucking invaded and shit because fucking, you know, they took the guns away from their citizens. You know, America is fucking going to come and save you, right? That's the way that it's always fucking been. But of course, who's going to come save America? That's the whole fucking thing. That's why we need to fucking maintain that fucking that you know, strength within our fucking nation and shit. And then also, not to mention that we literally can, you know, geographically control an entire hemisphere of the world. You know, it makes it pretty difficult for us to get invaded. You know, that's why America is such a you know, military powerhouse, I guess. You know. But yeah, I think a lot of the reason that gun control is able to work in those other places because they don't have any fucking external threats, thanks to the United States.
That, and they don't have those constitutions like us, man. You know what I'm saying? They don't have it written, you know, so, you know, kind of quote unquote stone, dude, saying, you know, it shall not be infringed, right? But you know, but you see what happens, you know, and leftists love to put the hands over the eyes with this shit. You see what happens. They removed guns in Britain years ago. They surpassed New York for violent crimes, man. And the weapons of choice are knives and hammers. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, in how NIMBY do you have to get to? Is going to get to the point where they're outlawing forks, like everybody's just got sporks or spoons.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Absolutely fucking asinine, right? I mean,
isn't it in
know,
fucking in fucking the UK? You can't even have a knife outside of the kitchen.
Yeah, and like you can't even buy a knife without, you know, like certain paperwork if it's over a certain length, like a chef knife or whatever.
It's fucking, you know, ridiculous.
Complete ridiculousness. Yeah, clown world, man.
And not to mention what's the repercussions of trying to defend yourself. You know. Like, period. You know, like fucking, even if someone's like trying to fucking kill you and you fucking smash them over the head with a blunt object, you're going to fucking prison in those countries. You know, you fucking anywhere else in the goddamn world, fucking, you don't have the right to fucking defend yourself. You know, that's pretty uniquely American thing. You know, the whole stand your ground type shit. That's nowhere else in the goddamn world. That maybe like, I don't know, like
you know,
Saudi Arabia or some shit.
for the anti-gunners mind, you know, like mind frame, you gotta realize that we've done nothing but compromise, man, for 200 years.
Right.
And you know, like the leftists love to distinctly, Joe Biden's loves to do the well, you couldn't have cannons when they wrote the Second Amendment. Like, actually, you could have warships, dude. They wanted to be able to constrict you in your ship, man.
Motherfucker,
you know what I mean? And they
you can have
Gatling
cannons right
guns
now.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, but on and on. You know what I mean? They had Gatling guns. They had belt fed. You know, I mean, you know, it was basically semi-automatic weapons, man.
Yeah.
And you know, they didn't put in there except, you know, or you can't. You know, none of that bullshit. There was no stipulations. It was shall not be infringed for this exact reason.
Right. Yeah, and then fucking when it comes to the whole idea of gun registry, fucking one needs look no further than the Weimar Republic. You know, like fucking, you know, as you know, the Weimar Republic. That's the people that were basically in power after World War One, the transition period between World War One and World War Two in fucking Germany, right? And so they fucking had a national gun registry. And as soon as old fucking Hitler's came into power, first fucking thing he did, took that gun registry and confiscated all the guns from everybody. And you guys know the rest, right? So fucking, yeah, gun registry, not good. Gun registry is always, always, always the fucking precursor to confiscation. And then confiscation is always the precursor to tyranny.
Yeah, and here in America, like I said, it's just moot, talking point after talking point. Like I said, the way you can't have cannons, and then it's well, you know, we wrote the '94 crime bill, and you know, all this crime came down when violent crime was actually on a descent for decades in a row. You know, it had nothing to do with that. You know, so I mean, it's, you know, everything they say is bullshit. It's theater, it's projection, or it's just flat out falsehoods with damn near every argument, but especially this one.
So you're from fucking Detroit, man. Do you think fucking people in the hood, like over the time that you've seen and shit, have come to any sort of realization that, hey man, maybe we should stop killing each other so much? Like, have you seen like that sort of decline? Like you said, you know, fucking from the 80s to the 90s and shit, that was a major fucking, you know, like drug wars in the fucking streets in America type period. But as you said, you know, fucking during that time, it was on the decline. Do you think fucking a lot of just the bloodshed and that type shit was just kind of a just collective among the fucking criminal community to like, hey man, this kind of sucks. Maybe we should stop killing each other so much. You think it was one of those type things, or do you think it had to do with more the war on drugs?
I think it was economics, man.
Yeah,
I really do. I think as we got more fruitful, I think through the '80s, man, and '90s, that was America's zenith, because you know, obviously the value of the dollar has gone nothing but downward since then. Yep. And you know, that's right after becoming the superpower, and we didn't ride it out for very long, but you know, it was fun while it lasted.
Right. Yeah, that's what I like to say all the time, man. Fucking when it comes to the whole fucking like neocon thing, like, you know, America being the boot of the world and shit, like, you know, it's terrible. It's fucking horrible. Like, you know, especially when we're doing it to fucking defend our dollar and shit like that, you know, to defend our wealth over the fucking rest of the world. It was pretty nice. It's pretty nice living that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice at the top, I guess.
you about to find out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like current stats, bro. I mean, you know, turn it into a third world country quick. Homelessness, dude. Inflation, obviously, like the cost of living, and then 100,000 immigrants pouring through the border a month. Those are the ones that are being allowed.
Yeah.
That's not even including the ones that are just, you know, rolling through and they're not accounted for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
the God
we
ways.
better find out. Yeah, and obviously I'm not picking on anyone. I don't mean like because Mexicans, it's absolutely nothing like that. There's a blend you've seen recently. I mean, they have, you know,
it's not even fucking Mexicans coming over.
That's what I was gonna say. North African terrorists coming through and shit. You
Yeah.
know, FBI fucking is investigating over a dozen right now. I mean, dude.
As we mentioned before, I mean, fucking manufacturing in Mexico is starting to ramp up and shit like that. A lot of people are starting to look to Mexico as being, an alternative to, Chinese manufacturing and shit. And so really Mexico's kind of on the up and up. That's why a lot of these people that are coming through the fucking border are not Mexicans. They're fucking people that are just using Mexico as a fucking, as a gateway to America, you know?
Yeah, as a staging port, man, to the fucking invasions, dude. You can't say it correctly because the juices tubes is, but dude.
Right. And then when it comes to like immigration and shit like that, like I don't know, one thing I will say is fucking with the whole melting pot that America was supposed to be and shit, that's the whole thing is the melting part. You have to fucking meld into society. And that's one thing I will say. I will take fucking 100 illegal immigrants escaping fucking, or 100 immigrants, not illegal immigrants, 100 just immigrants escaping fucking communism over 100 fucking Californians any day. Yeah.
Right. When
Like,
when
I'll
when
fucking direct
they were
trade.
first
Cool
saying
with
that
it.
kind of shit, though, they were like, "It's a melting pot. People are coming from everywhere." It was like 80% of the immigration was from Europe, dude,
Yeah.
all the way up until the 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, like I say all the time, fucking the whole idea of like fucking just having a continental fucking North American fucking shit like that. It's okay, cool, whatever. The whole fucking problem with immigration and why it's become what it's become today, rather than fucking people coming here for a better opportunity, it's people coming here to fucking rest on the fucking hammock of social welfare and shit here in America, is because of social welfare here in America. It's because of the fact that we extend benefits to just anybody who asks for them. Like, and that's not just with the whole immigration thing. That has to do with the decay of modern society as well. But
Yep.
the whole fucking the reason why we're getting a lot of the worst of the worst of people from these other countries and shit is because they're coming here to continue their fucking lifestyle. Basically, for the most part, these people were not able to fucking make it in their country. There's a reason that they're fucking fleeing their country, and it's not because they want a better life. It's because they want to continue being the same fucking people that they were, that got them fucking kicked out of their goddamn countries in the first place.
Yeah, and not to mention economic woes doesn't make one an asylee, right?
Right.
And and then it's why I said people like to point out anything that you say about this is racisms, right? But like you said, it's more about assimilation and the Cloward Piven approach, man. You can't overwhelm the situation, bro.
Right.
And that's what it seems to be, is just purposely overwhelming the system to the point of breaking. And I feel you though, like with the welfare situation, social safety net, it's a disease, man. It doesn't matter, where you're from. It's the don't feed the animals scenario, man.
Right.
And it's until that is kind of wrapped up, and to an extent. I mean, you got to have something there as far as like the infirm, like grandparents, what have you, right? Some 90-year-old lady, you don't want to boot her out of her home.
Right.
But if you're able to work physically, I don't want to hear this fucking I got PTSD and like GERD and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to produce, son.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's fucking working at Aldi's, sitting down, running a register, or cleaning bathrooms at Wally Worlds, dude. You got to do something.
Yeah. Fucking, I've been looking into a lot of like personality disorders and shit lately. Like fucking, a lot of them. They say that the causes and shit are obviously, mostly from childhood upbringing and basically, your surroundings and shit. Then of course there's some genetics as well that plays a part into it. But a lot of these, as I've been trying to, pinpoint political ideologies to fucking personality disorders and shit. So basically, with the whole fucking people on the left and shit, it's like I say, it's histrionic personality disorder. They're basically just entitled. And the whole reason that they become entitled again is because of upbringing and because of fucking the social fucking upbringing that they had and shit. Basically, the whole reason that they become lazy and fucking just want to live their entire lives doing absolutely nothing and just fucking expect to be fed by the good fucking will of society and shit is because they've grown up in an environment that has allowed that. They've grown up fucking. They didn't have to do fucking chores in their house. They didn't fucking get their ass whooped when they got fucking in trouble at school. They didn't fucking. Their parents weren't on them about their grades. Their parents weren't on them about shit. Half the time, their parents probably weren't even fucking home. And that's basically the whole problem that has become America is because like I say, it's because we've allowed it. It's because like I say, the whole prosperity that we've been living on, that's been like I say, pretty nice. It's created this sort of situation. It's the whole good times create fucking good times create weak men type thing. We're in that weak men fucking situation right now, and so that's why I say it's the whole reason that we're in this thing is because people were raised up. The past couple generations have been raised up in this mindset of the American fucking the American fucking nightmare, I'd like to call it, but this whole social welfare fucking basically socialist America. And that's basically what has created this fucking mental class of people that we have in the United States today.
Dude, that's something I was kind of making an argument, previously on some social media posts, man, about even culturally, people are in that good times, man, that good time scenario, bro. It's like Europeans, for instance. I mean, regardless of what anyone says, I hate to say too much because people take it as racisms, right? But it's certain people built certain societies and have certain beliefs, right? And like the Magna Carta, our Constitution, kind of emulating that. And in that good time scenario, the descendants of those people are just letting it be taken from them. It goes back to the old. We have a republic or a monarchy, or a democracy or a monarchy, and it's you have a republic if you can keep it, man.
Right.
And in the comments, Outlaw 520 says the system is designed that way. Separate the family, let the government raise the children, and both parents end up alcoholics or drug addicts. And it's been morphed into that. But originally our system was free exchange, man, self responsibility, reliance.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Fucking
And
self governance.
Yeah. And speaking, I'm definitely not trying to do the like holier than thou. Obviously, I went through my shit, dude. To made some poor choices as a young guy, but that's all within you, man. The whole alcoholism, everything, dude, and the way you look at life, even with both parents being out. I mean, it might get rough, and it depends, again, on your expectations for living standards. If you want to give your kid a materialistic good life, or you want to give them a loving good life. And, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I know, like, I raised kids pretty much with mom off and on around, as far as work is concerned. And making like $10 an hour, man. Back when minimum wage was $5.25 or something, man. Raised 3 kids on that, bro.
Yep.
So,
Shit, hell yeah. Fucking, shit. Forgot what I was gonna say. Fucking something to do with the consequences. Oh, fucking! I think making mistakes when you're in your youth, when you're in your early adulthood and shit is a natural part of life, and I think it's almost necessary for a lot of people, for the majority of people. I think a lot of people, during your early adulthood, your 20s and shit, that's they have to say there's a time and place for everything. That's the time and place to do your dumb shit, to get all that wildness out of your system, to go fucking chase your dreams or whatever. That's the time to do that. And I think fucking the problem with the people on the left is they did that, and again, like I say, they've just grown up with the fucking silver spoon in their mouth. They're the whole fucking Antifa is fucking, I'm not gonna face consequences because my dad's a lawyer. They're those type people. And the whole problem is, like I say, doing dumb shit when you're a young adult, it's a natural fucking part of coming to adulthood. But when you don't have to face the consequences, that's when you don't learn. That's when you continue to fucking go that way. Like you say, you've done some dumb shit. I'm sure you had to fucking deal with some consequences from those actions. Same with me. Fucking I did some dumb shit. I went to goddamn prison over the damn fucking shit. Like it's they avoid consequences. It's not so much they avoid consequences, it's that they're sheltered from consequences. And that's why I say fucking here in America, that's basically become the norm. And that's why we've bred this fucking culture that we have in America, because even when it comes to economic woes, there is no consequences here in America. If the economy's bad, print more fucking money. Like there is no fucking consequences here in America, and that's basically what has led America to where we're at today. You know?
Yeah, and that absolutely stems from constantly allotting like powers granted in the Constitution to government entities, and it's releasing it off, like giving the fucking purse strings away as far as Congress is concerned, giving the power of printing money, whatnot, away from the Treasury to the Fed that the founders were absolutely against. Well, for the most part, and again, comment here, Outlaw says that it progressively gets worse when there is no consequences, and that's real shit. And that's what I was speaking on earlier, even with these representatives, right? That we allot this power to directly represent the will of the people, not themselves or what they think is right or anything like that. It's to represent you, and they vote directly against your better aspects. There should be some kind of consequences, man. Whether that's fines, immediate drop, vote, what have you. I mean, there's got to be something. I'm pro America, and no system is perfect, and there could be a few changes made. I'm all for that, but it's just I'm not down for the dismantling.
Right. That's why I said I think if we were to implement some sort of the people's check on the power of the people in power, like we were talking about with the whole idea of political accrediting system, or like a social credit scoring system when it comes to the decision making and policy making decisions that some of these people make. If they get elected in and then just go start making horrible fucking decisions, their constituencies should be able to enact consequences on them for not acting within the will of the people that elected them.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's got to be some way that you can set it up to where it's not taken advantage of, though. Like you said, it's got to be a strictly geographical thing, geo tracking with whatever your device is registered at, and you can only fuck with your people. You don't want outsiders like that don't like your outspoken senator. You know what I mean?
Right.
Voting him down so he gets racked or whatever, But yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh yeah. All right, man. You ready to move on to talking about marijuana finally on the Liberty Bowl?
Sure.
All right, man. So possible easings of marijuana restrictions could have major implications. All right. So if a recommendation by the nation's top health agency to reclassify marijuana is adopted, the drug could gain wider acceptance as a medical treatment. Pot businesses could see their bottom line boosted, and a path toward national legalization could be charted, experts said Thursday. All right, so the first thing in this first paragraph is the word legalization. All right, so obviously legalization implies regulation, implies fucking government restrictions. Basically, it does not imply freedom. It does not imply that that it's not a bad substance anymore or anything like that, right? So basically, what you want is decriminalization. You basically want it to make it to where there is no laws against fucking marijuana because there's nothing wrong with it. Basically, that's what you're aiming for, right? So the whole legalization fucking mumbo jumbo that they keep talking about, it sounds nice and all that, but again, it just implies regulation,
Yeah.
Right, so the Department of Health and Human Services this week recommended that marijuana be removed from the category reserved for the riskiest drugs such as heroin and LSD and moved to one for certain prescription drugs. The decision to reclassify marijuana ultimately resides with the Drug Enforcement Administration, which could take months to complete its evaluation. All right, so again, classify it like more prescription drugs. So again, it's not going to be fucking legalization. It's going to be regulation. It may not be classified in the same classes like Oxycontin or something like that, but it's still going to be classified as something that you'd need to have a prescription from your doctor for. In a lot of states have recreationally legalized it. Really, the last hump that we need to get over is the federal criminalization of marijuana.
I don't think they're ever going to fully relinquish it, man. I think it's always like a try to sell it back to you situation.
Right. I don't think they're ever going to. I don't think they're ever going to fully relinquish anything. Like, shit, Can't.
Right, that's what I mean.
Right. Fucking
Sure.
everything's fucking regulated by government these days. I mean, of course, you know, a lot of it, you know, I can understand, you know, like fucking you don't want fucking people to be out there selling, you know, literal poison to people and telling them that it's fucking Diet Coke, you know, like you know, there's got to be at least some sort of fucking thing to keep people honest and shit, you know, which, so yeah, I do understand a lot of the whole point to regulation, but as someone that has fucking smoked weed for the majority of my life and someone that's very you know, knowledgeable on the plant, and you know, somebody that's grown it, somebody that's bred it, somebody that, you know, has been an advocate for cannabis for quite some time, I'm very much aware of the fact that it is not, you know, something that's, you know, the devil lettuce, you know, it needs to be regulated and all this and that, you know. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't have any effects, you know, because then what'd be the fucking point of smoking it? You know, it does fucking it does affect your memory, as you guys have seen me here multiple times on the show. It does make you forget what you're talking about sometimes mid sentence, but you know, that's kind of the whole fun of it. You know, it's for relaxing, it's for unwinding, and oftentimes, you know, I find myself I'm able to get much deeper in thought. You know, I like to, you know, I guess kind of self meditate. Well, you know, like I'll just kind of just sit and stare at the wall and just think, you know. I find that when I get really fucking blazed, I could get a lot deeper in conversation with myself, you know.
Yeah, and I also understand about the regulation shit. I'm kind of torn on it. Obviously, I'm an anti-government kind of dude, so I really don't believe in taxes or whatnot. But dude, if you know, completely legal purchase it like cigarettes, right? I would almost be for like a straight aboard tax. But again, this constantly goes back to a trustworthy government, or you know, relinquishing an already held power in exchange for another shit like that. But you know, obviously, in a lot of ways, it could replace the income tax, or it could deal with a lot of issues that currently are low, you know, underfunded or what have you. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things you can do with that, right? But at the same time, man, it kind of ruins the game, dude. Because you see, you know, the dispensary. I mean, I personally, you know, in the chats here can get fucking better shit than the dispensaries carry.
Right.
And fucking, you know, it's and they're taxing the shit out of you for it. I mean,
Yeah.
not anything I want to fuck with.
Right.
You know what I mean, I want to talk to Samson.
Right. For real shit. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is when it comes to, you know, commercialization, it becomes commercialized, you know.
Mhm.
Fucking
Becomes dooku, dude.
right. I remember we used to have fucking shit we called fucking commercial weed back in the day. Wasn't that great? Yeah. Yeah. But I personally like to you know, grow whenever I can. You know, I like to grow my own trees whenever I'm able to. You know, right now it's my outside plant is just starting to get into flower. You know, seeing as the season change, we're starting to get into fall here. It's just starting to get into flower. So you know, in a couple weeks that should be about ready to harvest. I actually just harvested a plant, one of my indoor plants. You know, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. So that's what I've been smoking on lately. And actually, speaking of which, go ahead and take a bong rip real quick, man. Get back into the article after this. In case anybody is wondering where I get my seeds from, shout out to Irvine Seed Company. If you guys you know, grow your own weed, if you guys are interested in growing your own weed, definitely check out Irvine Seed Company. One of the best things that you want to do whenever it comes to growing weed is starting out with good genetics, right? You want to know what you're growing. You want to know, you know, the characteristics of the plant and all that type shit. And the best way to start with good genetics is by getting it from a reputable dealer, right? So the people at Irvine Seed Company, and again, I'm not sponsored by them. They don't even know this. Just I really like their company. They breed their own strains, and then they let people test the strains out for free, right? So generally, when it comes to breeding, you're gonna want to fucking breed a strain, and then you're gonna want to isolate it down to a stable genetics. So the way that they do that is they'll isolate it down to like a F3, like a third generation, and then they'll send that generation out to the public for free. And then all that they ask is just take pictures of it and post it on social media, so that way we could see how the plant's doing. You know, they're a really cool company. Again, it's like a lot of the stuff they give out for free. You just got to pay shipping. You know, And it's fucking, you could pay them through Zelle, a really cool company. If you guys are interested in growing weed, I definitely suggest you check them out.
Dude, something I got to say about the previous part of the article, man. Dude, I'm sure most people are already well aware that how it was classified, but it's asinine as hell, right? Classified with heroin and acid, but
Right.
even
Right.
acid though. I mean, do you think that should be classified up there with heroin, Stu?
I think bad acid, maybe.
Yeah,
I think the main thing with acid is it's fully chemical. It's fully chemical and it needs to be made in the lab under proper conditions. Maybe, I'm sure people can fudge around with it a little bit. Kind of guerrilla lab it and stuff. But for the most part, it needs to be done in a lab by somebody that knows what they're doing. Otherwise, you're gonna fuck people up really bad. That's
I see that part. Of course, I mean,
But I
it's
don't think it should be illegal. I don't think it should be classified as extremely dangerous. Someone that's done acid many times, someone that's done lots of acid at times, even fucking massive amounts. It's You're not gonna die. You're just gonna fucking go on. You're gonna feel like you did, but you're not going to.
Mhm. You're gonna freak out, man.
Right,
Yeah, I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think that they should just legalize acid, dude. I mean,
right,
again, being an anti kind of government person, dude, there's too many people that can fucking hang.
right.
It's kind of kept it to a minimum. I mean, like you said, plenty of people have experienced it, had good times, bad times, whatever. But it hasn't been like a mass thing at one time where that's that it very well could become. And it's people would be trying to drive on it and fucking
Right. Yeah, yeah. Definitely don't recommend driving on acid. It is not a good time.
Right.
Trust me. Fucking A, man.
Even in the comments, others said acid's fun. It is definitely just fuck, dude.
Acid is
Stay
awesome.
inside or safe areas.
Right. Set and setting, man. Set and setting. That's the name of the game when it comes to acid. I can just have the right mindset and be in a good setting. Set and setting, you'll be fine. All right. Let's continue on. Right. So the department. Okay. Yeah. The nonprofit Veterans Cannabis Project has long pushed for veterans to get broader access to marijuana to treat post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and chronic pain. Its founder said the HHS recommendation to loosen restrictions offers hope that the federal government will signal that marijuana has medical values. This is huge, Nick Eaton, founder of the Veterans Group, said. This is what we've been working toward for years. While the measure would stop short of full national legalization, as many had hoped, it has the potential to help struggling cannabis companies in states where marijuana is legal and could remove barriers to scientific research into health benefits of the drug, experts say. All right, so I think what they're talking about when it comes to like struggling cannabis companies in states where it's legal is it has to do with the fact that they can't bank right now. They can't use the banking system like at all because of the fact that it's still federally illegal. They can't use the federal banking system, so they essentially they're all cash fucking business, and so that's has its obvious problems. For one, you can't use your debit card or your credit card to buy your weed. Of course, a lot of the fucking grandpas and shit would tell you that they would have never imagined you'd be able to, but that's a thing it's going on these days. You're soon you'll be able to fucking buy your weed with a fucking credit card at a fucking store, right? But so I think that's the thing that they're saying. It's not going to make it like federally legal, but I think what they're trying to do is making it to where basically they're able to like sell it as like a herbal health supplement or something like that, rather than as an actual fucking Schedule 1 drug that's just legal in that state. So therefore they're not able to bank or anything like that.
Right. It's all about money. It's all it boils down to, man.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Fucking regulation. They want to regulate it. They want to fucking basically make it into fucking a state fucking taxed industry. It's the same thing with like alcohol and tobacco and shit like that. They want to have cannabis right up there, which to be honest, I'm okay with. I guess I mean, obviously as a libertarian, I don't think any of those fucking things should be overly taxed and regulated and shit like that. But as a realist, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, like I said, I could see a regular state sales tax or whatnot, but they go overboard. The luxury tax, shit like that. You get some fucking top shelf. They're like, it's
Right.
fucking 75 and eighth, man. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Right. Either that, so you could pay your fee to the state, and then fucking you could just skip the taxes. That's
Right.
that's really like the only perk of a medical card right now is you pay a lower tax rate on it. And some, a lot of places will give you discounts for having your medical card, and then a lot of places will have like a shorter line for you. But really, a lot of those places have kind of cut down on them as people have stopped getting their medical cards. As like I said, it's really kind of useless, except for maybe saving like a couple percent on the tax rate.
Now they'll kick you out and stuff.
Right.
Fuck out of here with that, son.
fucking nerd's got his medical card. Right, so multiple requests to reschedule marijuana in the past have failed. Most recently in 2016, the Obama administration's DEA denied a request from 2 Democratic governors to change the classification. At the time, the DEA cited concerns that cannabis had a high potential for abuse, no accepted medical use in the United States, and lacked an acceptable level of safety for use, even under medical supervision. All right, so again, that's basically the definition of what Schedule 1 is, right? It's high potential for abuse, no accepted medical use, and lacks the ability for safe use even under medical supervision. Because as we are all very well aware of, when you smoke the marijuana, your incisors will grow, and then you'll sprout some bat wings, and you'll fly circles around the fucking room. That's
Right.
we're very well aware of that. That's been well known for decades now. Yeah. Right.
You're like, dude, you got read fucking right? Revolution and Manifesto, man. Fucking Ron Paul
Yeah.
is gonna break it down to you about how this actually became illegal.
Right. Yeah. That's great book.
Right.
Right. Experts predict this time will be different. This week's HHS recommendation became public nearly a year after President Biden, a year after President Biden, in a presidential first, asked the health agency to evaluate whether marijuana should be reclassified. If the DEA follows the health agency's recommendation, marijuana be placed in the same category as anabolic steroids, ketamine, and testosterone, which can be obtained with prescription. Okay, so maybe not, that maybe they won't be able to use the whole fucking, it's, herbal fucking medical supplements or some shit like that, like I said, they're going to categorize it with anabolic steroids, ketamine, and testosterone. Which, again, I would probably argue are all fucking more dangerous than LSD.
Right.
Right. So another thing that kind of stands out to me in this paragraph is fucking the Republicans really need to get on board with this whole fucking legalizing, federal legalization fucking movement. Dude, if they were to do that, they'd fucking be unstoppable. I know a lot of fucking people vote strictly for the person that says they're going to legalize weed. They don't give a fuck about any other fucking issue. There's a lot of fucking people out there that will vote for anybody that fucking says they'll legalize weed. I actually had one of my commenters on Rumble. I forget which state he's in, but it's fucking super like liberal state and shit. But he fucking he's like, oh yeah, I just voted for the Democrat because they said they're going to legalize weed. Like, I hear you, but you're really kind of fucking shit up, to really pay closer attention. All right. But yeah, I really think, the Republicans do need to, get over the whole reefer madness thing. And I think that's another thing that's going to come along with the whole, changing out the fucking old Republicans for, the whole, new Freedom Caucus MAGA movement type Republicans,
Yeah.
With an increasing roster of states legalizing marijuana, experts said political momentum is growing in favor of a good change in the federal government's treatment of marijuana. Shane Pennington, a Washington, D.C. attorney who specializes in cannabis law, predicts HHS's recommendation will carry considerable weight with the DEA, which has acknowledged receiving the recommendation but declined to elaborate. Historically, the DEA has never overridden an HHS recommendation, the Pennington said. All right, so of course, fucking the DEA is not going to want to fucking reclassify fucking marijuana because that's literally their what keeps them in business, That's fucking, it's basically the whole fucking thing with government solving problems. They're never going to do that because that literally is, all right, let me figure out how to get myself fired, That's literally fucking, let me figure out how to fucking lose my job, Like they don't, there's no point to them figuring things out, much in the same way that there's no actual, value to the big pharma industry actually curing anything. It's much better to actually, fucking treat or put band-aids over the thing. Same thing goes with fucking politics. It doesn't make any sense for them to cure the fucking problem that they got elected to solve in the first place. But if they continue to look like they're fucking making headway, or they're continuing to look like they're trying to solve the problem and shit, well, then we'll just keep electing them until they solve the fucking problem. That problem's never going to get solved, by the way. Yeah.
Right. Kick the can down the road, man.
Right. Yep. See, so not everyone is convinced. Paul Armento, deputy director of the pro-legalization organization NORML, pointed out that the DEA could try to keep marijuana in its current category, Schedule 1, as it did in 2016 by pointing to obligations under international drug treaties. So it will be very interesting to see how DEA responds to this recommendation, given the agency's historic opposition to any potential change in cannabis's categorization under federal law, Armento said in a statement Wednesday. Under the Controlled Substance Act, the Schedule 1 category is reserved for drugs having a high potential for abuse with little or no accepted medical use. HHS is recommending marijuana be moved to Schedule 3, a designation applied to drugs with moderate to low potential for physical and psychological dependence and some medical value. It's a big deal, Robert Mikos, a Vanderbilt Law School professor who specializes in drug policy, said. That would be the first time the federal government has concluded that. Reclassifying a drug is a complicated administrative process. And this goes on for quite a while more. We'll just go ahead and cut this one off here. But all right, so let's talk about the actual effects of marijuana, because like I said, it does have I'd say a low potential for permanent psychological fucking damage. I mean, if anything, I guess it does make you kind of more alert to like conspiracies or fucking like I said, it does make you kind of get deeper into your head. So in which case you do think about things a bit more rather than just kind of going along with the fucking hamster wheel of life. I guess in the way it does. Not to sound fucking cliched and hippie, but it does kind of open your mind, man. So I guess in psychological, effects or, long-term changes, I guess that I could point to that. But, I've been smoking since I was, about 8 or 9 years old. So, I mean, I don't really have a baseline to go off of,
Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite, man. I like to be clear-headed, you know what I'm saying, when I'm trying and thought, you know what I mean? I kind of have two phases with smoking. It's either chill, relax, or slave. You know what I'm saying? Like the smoke, and I'll get out and work like an obot, dude, But I think this is just classic, not only overreach, dude, but the danger of bureaucrats, man. And even as far as like how locally, we elect judges and whatnot, we got to have some other system as far as this is concerned. I mean, obviously, this is an entity. This is another entity that was basically just created, out of thin air. And these people, nobody ever said like, hey, we want them to be the arbiters of morals or anything like that, man. And like you said, they're quoting international arms treaty. Nothing trumps the Constitution. And if Congress wants to put something in place, that should absolutely change the game. No hesitation, whatever, man.
Yep. Fucking I don't know, I'm a little bit stoned right now. You want to get onto some deep thoughts, some biblical end times?
Sure.
All right, man. So on the Tim's Pool show today, they're talking. I don't know who the dude is. I was really kind of just kind of walking around the house, eating dinner, playing with my kids and shit while I was playing in the background. But they were talking a lot about whether or not we're living in the biblical end times or something like and really it's kind of something that I've opined on over in my mind quite a bit, over the last couple of years, so I guess when you really actually kind of look at it, there's a lot of stuff that you could really kind of point to that does kind of, line up and shit like that. But then when you really also kind of look throughout history, there's a lot of periods that you could say have lined up with, fucking, the, fucking revelations, with the apocalypse and shit, So, which it kind of, in my opinion, I think the idea of revelations or fucking the idea of an apocalypse is basically, it's the turning of a new schism. It's the beginning of a new era. It's basically the death of the old ways. Basically the death of everything that we've known, everything that was been kind of a accepted uh, doctrine, I guess, for the last fucking several thousand years. It's basically it's not like it's the first time that humanity's ever gone through. And of course there was the entire fucking schism going from ancient paganism into monotheistic, like Christianity, Judaism, stuff like that. So it's not necessarily the first time we've been through it, and so that's why I say I think that we're basically on the like the third turning right now. We're on the third fucking wave of human development, I guess, human spiritual development. Basically the whole idea with I guess that Crowley put forth was that originally when humanity first came into existence, basically when the fucking spark of consciousness first lit in the first human's mind, that was basically we were in the age of Isis when we first started trying to make sense and rationalize the world around us based off of theoretical logic. Right. So basically we kind of look at shit. We'd notice that the sun comes up every day, and the sun is fucking, we learned fucking agriculture over the years. We learned fucking, how basically how nature provides for us and shit, and so that's why we started to basically worship nature. We started to worship, seasons. We started to worship, the elements and things like that. It's basically because we are in the age of Isis, which is basically the age of the mother. Right. So the mother, the nurturer, that's why we worship the earth. And that was what's sustained us. All right, so then they say that we've moved into the age of Osiris after that, which is basically the age of the father, which is basically when everything kind of came to a universal point. Basically the same way that a family does, where the father is the head of the family. Basically it took all of these ideas and shit, all of these warring different ideas of gods and shit like that when it came to polytheism, and basically just solidified it into one idea. So basically that was the turning, the first schism, basically first turning of human life and shit, basically going from the polytheism into monotheism. And then now they say that we're turning into the next schism, which would basically be the age of Horus, or basically the age of the child. Basically when I think of humanity as a spirit, I think of it basically as the age of Isis was basically our infancy. We're basically a scared child coming into our existence, and basically we were dependent on the mother. That's why we worship the mother, because the mother gave us everything. The mother is what sustained us. And much as a child trying to make sense of tragedy, because really when you think about it, children are crying constantly when they're fucking babies. Everything's a fucking tragedy to them. So it would make sense that if the early human spirit, they constantly fucking looked at tragedy. That's why they made so many gods, to basically make sense of the tragedy that they were facing with their fucking children getting eaten by a goddamn saber-toothed tiger or some shit like that. That's a pretty traumatic experience, and naturally your brain's going to cope with it in some way by trying to rationalize it. And so that's where I think the first gods came from, right? So basically, if we're coming into the age of Horus, that would basically be we're, we started out in our infancy, and then we came to basically like almost our preteen years, or our teenage years, or basically when we were, in our child years. Basically, we weren't dependent on the mother anymore. We were able to nurture ourselves. We were able to figure things out for ourselves. Basically, we could disrespect fucking Mother Earth all we want. As you can see, we've done that very much, because we don't need the fucking earth anymore. We could fucking make our own fucking food if we need to. We could fucking grow our own fucking fields of food. We could fucking grow our own livestock. We could slaughter all the fucking animals if we want. We could provide for ourselves now. And then so basically, we're coming into the age of Horus. That is basically going to be us coming into the age of ourselves. It's going to be coming into our adulthood. We had our infancy, then we had our childhood. We're trying to show our father. We're basically trying to make the father proud. We're basically trying to abide by the father. We're basically trying to be obedient to our dad, so he doesn't whoop our ass. Type mentality and shit. And so now we're moving into basically the age of Horus, where basically we're discovering that we don't need that God either necessarily as a society. We're able to basically self-govern. We're basically we're basically able to have a set of customs and moralities that are more or less kind of universal without having to live in fear of God punishing us. So basically that's what I think of when I think of apocalypse. I think that it's the death of the old way, where basically we lived in fear that God is going to punish us. And now we're coming into our own, where we're realizing that we have to be accountable for our own actions. Otherwise, we are going to punish ourselves. So I think that's what basically the turning of the age of Horus is. I think that, like I said, the meaning of life in general is survival. The meaning of human life and the meaning of human intellect is to ensure that life survives. So I think that we're coming into that age. Hopefully, we'll see. So I kind of went on for a while there. What's your thoughts on the end of the world, or the end of fucking, the apocalypse?
I mean, biblically, I think it's a repeat scenario, man. I think if you repeat something for thousands of years, eventually you're going to be right. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even think it's that deep philosophically. You know what I'm saying? I think when I think of biblical end of the world, I mean, they're talking about, it's the Antichrist and it's Satan's, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, they talk, and then, so many years of paradise before the actual end or what have you. But, I mean, it depends on what we're talking.
So
so
you think it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy type thing? Like basically, we
exactly.
wrote it into existence. So, so shall it be written, so shall it be.
Yeah, eventually, I mean, every day if you get in your car and you look over at your chick, whatever, okay, this car is gonna break down. Eventually, that shit's gonna happen, son.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Not if
to me, that's
but that's the thing.
It's constant. It's every time there's war or there's storms or there's fucking, you know what I mean? There's flooding, there's tornadoes, anything, which has happened many, many times throughout my life. You hear the same shit. Is it the end of times, dude? Is it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's what I say, man. And we're coming into the age where we realize that maybe we should change the oil every now and then, and we're not going to have to worry about the car breaking down.
Right.
Yeah. We're coming into the age where we're not reliant on faith so much anymore. We're not relying on someone to just come in and save us. We're not basically relying on keeping people in order through basically stories, basically stories of truth and consequence, I guess. And when it
yeah, and as far as our actual end, I see it probably happening by our own hands. Like you're talking earlier about escalating World War III. I mean, you got the Hitler's peas moving the Satan's 2 nuclear fucking missiles. You know what I'm saying? Activating and whatnot. And then they say that our planet has like a projected or an estimated lifespan, right? And that we're this old, but like recent shit that was sent to me that shows that our universe is way, way older, that they're seeing past like the Big Bang, which would actually make our planet almost 8 times or something the actual age. You know what I mean? And so it could be the end of its lifespan or what have you. So that's what comes into my mind, that type of shit, when I think of apocalypse, apocalyptic scenario. And one of which obviously 0 survivors, but and then if something happened to the sun, you wouldn't even know for a while. It would take quite a minute, and then the planet would revolve like it was supposed to for a while before it eventually spins off into the universe. But horrible thoughts and ways to die.
Right. Shit. That's what I say, man. Hopefully we will get off this planet before, something like that were to occur, or, hopefully at least we're just, able to actually see something like that and, at least take measures to either prevent it or at least we can send off some of humanity so that hopefully some of them survive.
Yeah, and like the only way that
So
we
the
would
old
be able to really
Hail Mary.
right, and the only way that would really happen though is through using like wormholes or something like that, like some kind of genetic transfer, like where you break them down to molecules and Scotty beam me up type of shit. I mean that's I mean really like in that same documentary, they were talking about kind of proving a theory that you could never surpass the speed of light because as you get to it, like time and everything slows down. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
so you always stay just behind it. And like the nearest shit, I mean, it would take thousands of years to get to.
But
So I
what if
mean,
but what if you were just what if you were just particleized fucking code, and then they just send you through a black hole?
right? That's what I was saying. Like
Right.
use of wormholes or
Shit.
getting beamed and broken down by molecules. Yeah.
I have faith in fucking humanity. I think that we're gonna fucking. I think we're gonna do it. I think that we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna fucking kill ourselves. I think we're gonna figure it out. I think that we're gonna fucking grow and expand all the way until the end of this fucking universe.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think there is an end to the universe. See, again, this is where we're going into some deeper shit.
Right.
I think that there's a
That
point, we
that
can't see past.
that
and
was
we
the point that I
consider
was
that the
making,
end of
though.
the universe.
That was the point that I was making. We're going to infinity and beyond, bro.
But again, same documentary. You know what I mean? This is recent shit, newer shit. You know what I mean? And talking about how they're seeing past what was known as the known universe, basically, and that there's a point. I think they said it's 3 million light years. Once you pass that barrier, there's no return. Like there's no chance of you being able to gain enough energy to come back that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Enough inertia and whatnot. So it's like, one way is only, man.
Right. Fucking one theory I like to toy with in my head every now and then is fucking what if religion was started at the end of humanity? What if humanity is in a constant fucking loop? What if we at the time that we discovered time travel, humanity's on the brink of collapse? Like fucking we're about to fucking collapse, and so we're only able to send fucking just a select few people back, just our brightest fucking scholars. We're able to send them back to the beginning of fucking humanity, so that hopefully we can teach ourselves before we could teach ourselves better, so that way we don't end up down this path to make the same mistake. And what if we're just in a constant loop where just the end of humanity just goes back and fucking speaks to the very beginning of humanity, and just fucking hopefully they give them the right information because it's a one-way fucking trip. Hopefully they give them the right information to fucking not fuck it up this time. What if we're just in a constant
and it's
loop
the
of that?
butterfly effect. You just keep making it worse.
Right. Right. Eventually we're either going to get to the point where we're not going to need the time machine, or we're going to get to the point where we're going to die before we invent it.
Yeah, that's where the Mandela effect kicks in. That's where the timelines got fucked up, and things that you knew as a child, suddenly they're like, that never happened or existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Dogface in the comments is called the Great Filter.
But what's called the Great Filter?
I would assume the barrier is where you can't pass, where you can't come back. I
Oh,
assume.
yeah. To the great beyond, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, fucking some crazy shit. Have you familiar with the concept of the eternal return? Fucking it's
No.
a Nietzsche fucking concept. Fucking the eternal return. It's in line with the amor fati, or love of one's fate, basically. And it's basically the idea that when you die, you start back over again at birth. You relive your entire life over again. Not one single detail has changed ever, and you're going to be stuck in this loop for eternity. So basically, the life that you live right now, you're going to be living it again and again and again and again and again and again for eternity. You cannot change anything about it. That's just it. You have to learn to love your fate. And it's basically this idea. Basically, learn to love your life. Basically, it's like I say, it's a concept that you kind of have to mull over in your head a little bit, but it's Yeah, the idea of living the same life again and again and again, all the tragedy, all the fucking hurt, all the fucking joys, everything basically continuously, never ending, just over and over again. And basically, it's I look at it as kind of like a self help type thing, as a basically like once you discover this concept, this is the point where you decide, you know what, if I don't want to fucking feel like shit, or if I don't want to fucking feel bad about something, or I'm gonna make fucking better choices for now, from now on. I'm gonna make choices that if I do have to watch my life in a continuous loop, I'm gonna be able to say, all right, here's the good part, here's where it starts getting good.
Yeah, that's a wild concept, man. It's also a little bit horrifying to think that you live in a loop too.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a double edger there, man.
Yep. But I'm saying, man, the sooner you get that concept and shit, the sooner you could say, all right, if I do have to look back on my life again and again, I'm gonna make this the fucking point where all right, this is where the story starts getting good.
Yeah, that's a wild concept. Can't
Yeah.
swallow, man.
All right, man. Fucking, you got any more deep philosophicals you want to throw out there?
I'm good, dude. I'm burnt, bro.
Right.
It's been a damn good show.
Yep. Shit, a little over 2 hours here.
Right. I don't think we've ever gone that long, man.
Actually, fucking, when we were with old Jeff the other night, fucking, we went for like I think like 2.5 or something like that. I think mostly just
Damn.
because Jeff kept saying he was tired, so we're like, well, let's think of another topic then.
Right.
Right.
That's why he didn't come back this week. He's like, fuck, he didn't even
Right.
answer messages from these fools.
Right. Yeah. But if anybody else would like to come on the show, including you, Jeff, you're more than welcome to come on whenever you'd like. Anybody else would like to come on the show, if I can go ahead and say your piece, if I can spill your thoughts or whatever, just go ahead and let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, if I can got our handles up there. I actually don't believe that his is actually Liberty Swine, at Liberty Swine. I can isn't it at Ryan Sepla?
On
the old
Twitter
X's?
spheres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Everywhere else it's fucking Liberty Swine. But if you want to get at him on Twitter, you're gonna be looking up the old Ryan Sepla. All right. But anyway, we appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this channel out. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Liberty Swine channel over here. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Fuck off.